We could both drive in a Benz or a Honda. Shorty outside and a wonder. Late night riding through the city, bumping us to the sun up.
Sexy, can I undress? You are these designers. Be honest.
I said it's nothing wrong. I know I said.
So, off as our first single of this tape. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how? Yeah, so serious. Tell us a little bit about how you started the drums for this track, and how the whole process went through.
Right. I think that started making this in like July when we came back from the trip, and it was me mostly just thinking about us making something more upbeat, and how do I even put it? Something just very electronic at the same time, very soulful at the same time. So like my references were mostly very electronic songs and soul music, and then I started making those drums. I did not really start making it with the mind of, okay, we're going to start making a project at that point. It was just like, having to do the shows and then coming back. I hadn't made a beat in a long time, so it was like I was really looking forward to making a beat. And then this is like the first thing I started making. Programming the drums, and then once I did it, I just felt like, okay, there was something there, and then I had an idea for a hook.
Yeah, and I know this song is it was the hardest song to finish, right? It took a while to finally get it to where it is now, I guess. So can you tell us a little bit about that as well?
I mean, we just had to go back and forth with like just skimming through ideas to just find. I think there was something missing with the drums, which is what took all the time. So we just had to like run through ideas upon ideas, and then lastly we just sent it over to our friends called Duke, and then they added some parts, some drum parts to it, and then I ended up using some of it, and then that's what really stuck.
Yeah, I had heard the hook that Ansah had written on that. I think Øbed delivered those vocals as well. So it was basically the whole idea of like a relationship that has kind of died, and it still lingers within the mind of the people that were in the relationship. So that's my approach. That's how I approach the verse. And I also wanted to get something to kind of have an idea that was kind of smooth and kind of matched the keys, the very slow parts of the song in the beginning. Tell me about yours. You said you had a hard time. You had a hard time with this one.
So, yeah, I mean, technically, this song whip our ass, all of us. Maybe I don't know, Seyyoh. I'm thinking Seyyoh's ass. She's next level every time. Just so you know. Yeah, it was. I think everybody did an incredible job, and Øbed hit me up and was like, "There's a part you gotta deliver a verse at." So oftentimes, like, we don't have records with such. I mean, Wicked is one of the records that has a very catchy hook off as well. So going into it, I just wanted to switch and have like a feel. I just wanted to pick from genres, and I was like, well, nobody's doing garage on this, so like the garage flow is gonna be incredible. So I wrote something and I laid it, and it sounded good, and I'm glad I did that because it really complimented, like, from where Ansah goes left, right, and it's like it just comes down and goes up. It's pretty awesome.
This is the most difficult song to finish, to conclude on, because the part with the bass, the left right part, it's like, what would we call that part? It's like the hook, but like the last bit of it, right? The post hook. Yeah. I think it was very difficult to figure out. We like, for context sake, we started working on this in July 2023, and we finished it in January 2024. And I feel like even that, it was because we had a deadline for January 2024. If we didn't have a deadline for January, because like we did everything we could do. Like, Øbed would send me ideas of new versions that he's tried. we go sit with, some of our other friends who are producers. Like we sat with Radical, we went through it. And I feel like even with all the different people that we sat with to make sure that that part was right, even though maybe those versions didn't end up becoming the final versions, they were all part of the process of us finally arriving at the final version. Like the stuff that we did with Radical, he sent some stuff to us. He changed stuff. He showed us new perspectives and stuff like that. We sat down with Duke, David and Luke. Shouts to them. Same thing, like an afternoon we spent maybe like 2 or 3 hours with them, and it was basically to work on that 20-second part of the song. And even between those 3 hours that we sat with them in Accra, they were in Accra for a bit, it was just going through different ideas, like we'll do this, it doesn't sound right, we'll do that, it doesn't sound right. And even what we finished off with in that session, which we thought sounded right, like we went home, Øbed hit me up and was like, I still feel like something needs to change, I was also kind of feeling the same way. So, we just had to go back to what we had in the beginning, tweak it, add a few things from what we did with Duke. I feel like it was a beautiful process. It was a very tiring process, but it was also a very beautiful process. And it's just a process about, not giving up on yourself, not giving up on ideas that you have in your head because you want something to sound a specific way, and doing everything that you can to ensure that you arrive at that point. And when I listen to the song, as a co-creator of the song, this is the stuff that stands out to me.